Well, that's about tricky.
And it is falling apart.
Should have done this for We don't need brakes, those make you slower.
The bestest pups in all the land.
I'm talking night and day. This thing drives so much better now. Doesn't get much better than that. We're rocking and rolling, baby.
Howdy folks, welcome to another video. We're back in the shop today. We're working on the 78 F100. And today we're gonna fix some oil leaks. So we have a bit of a leak coming out of the valve cover gasket, and we've also got a little bit of a leak coming out of the pinion seal in the back. So I got online and I picked up a Timken pinion seal, a couple quarts of gear oil. I'm not doing a full drain, just whatever comes out of the pinion seal, and then I'll top it back off with this. And you may have noticed in a couple videos the throttle was a little bit touchy. Oh! Told you the throttle's touchy. So I picked up this little progressive linkage for the throttle on the Sniper EFI. It's supposed to dial it back and make the throttle a little less touchy right now. Those primaries open and the secondaries, when they kick open at 100% too, it just almost wants to just light the tires off. Oh! You know, this 400M in this thing is pretty peppy. So hopefully that linkage will get us to where we can drive this thing a little more smoothly. So a few people have mentioned that the headlights on this truck don't resemble a 1978 and that in 1979 when they switched from the round to the square headlights. So I dug the title out, and sure enough, this is in fact a 1978 Ford F100. It might have been late in the year, who knows? But sure enough, this thing's a 1978. So we're gonna start things off with this pinion seal in the back here, and it doesn't look like it's leaking too bad. I mean, this yoke is a little messy, and the universal joint has a little grime on it, and it's a little dark under this main housing here. I don't know if that's just from spilling out of the fill hole there or what, but we got the parts. We're gonna change it. So we're gonna pull this U-joint out, drop this drive shaft out of the way, and then there's a pinion nut on there. We'll mark it so we make sure we get our bearings and stuff seated where they should be when it goes back together. So we'll pull that pinion nut off, pull this yoke out, and we'll get that seal pulled up out of there and get the new one tossed in, and whatever fluid comes out of here we'll replace. We're gonna go ahead and get this U-joint undone out of here. Actually, before I disconnect this, I'm gonna go ahead and set the parking brake and put some chocks behind these wheels. All right, now we can take these U-joint bolts out of here. All right, I got all the bolts undone from the drive shaft here. I've got jack stand there ready to hold the drive shaft when I break it loose. Let's get this drive shaft off of here. I think this thing's gonna take a little knocking around. We'll get a mallet. Maybe we can pry this thing out of here. There we go. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, come on out of there. All right, after a little bit of persuading, we got this thing to come apart. Swiveled the U-joint around. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. We got the drive shaft all supported with this here jack stand. So now I'm gonna hit this little yoke with some brake cleaner, because as you can see, it's a little bit crusty in there. Let's clean her up a bit. This is very thick grease, so this probably isn't even gonna touch it, but better than nothing, I guess. Try to scrub this with a wire brush a little bit. There we go, that's much better. I'm gonna hit this with some compressed air and really blast all the rest of that stuff off. All right, now we've got it all cleaned up, I'm gonna mark this here, the nut to the threads here, so I know where to put it when I'm done here. So I'm gonna put one little mark right there. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I can. And then I'm gonna put another mark right here on this nut. I've also got this paint marker here. I'm gonna use it to mark it as well, so we know for certain that we put this back right where it belongs. All right, I think that'll do it. You guys might actually be able to see the yellow marks a little bit. There's our marks. So let's get an impact and a socket on here and zip this thing off of here. All right, we've got our 1 1/16 socket and our Milwaukee impact. Let's zip this puppy off of here. Just like that. Now this yoke should slide right out of here, but let me grab a drain pan real quick, because I know oil's gonna come spilling out of there. All right, that was easy. Probably should have marked the yoke as well to line this thing up, but too late now, I've already pulled it out. Yeah, this pinion seal looks to be kind of old. It wasn't really leaking too bad, I don't think, but better safe than sorry. The oil coming out of there looks to be in pretty good shape. Color looks pretty good. Let's get to pulling this seal out. All right, I got our new Timken seal here. I just want to match this thing up and make sure it's the right diameter. Sure enough, it looks like that's the right one. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this old one pulled out of here. So I got a little chisel here and a screwdriver. So we're gonna try to pop this outer edge of this seal up. We can get behind it with a screwdriver and knock it the rest of the way out. I think we're making some progress here. Alright, we're going to try to hit it with this seal puller here. There we go. Should have done this from the beginning. Got it. Looks pretty good. I'm going to let this thing drain out just a little bit more. Hopefully all this oil gets out of the way before I go to pressing the new seal. Alright, it looks like it's quit dripping a little bit here, so we can clean this all out and go ahead and start tossing this new seal in here. Looks pretty good to me. Push that in here. Here we've got our new seal. I put a little grease on the inside of the seal there. Pop this in here. We're going to tap around it till it seats in there. Alright, we got our new seal in there, looking nice and shiny. So now we just gotta put this yoke back on here. I'll clean this up a little bit, put a little bit of grease on the outside here. Pop that back in and we'll be good to go. Alright, now we got that on there. Toss this nut back on. Now I'm just going to tighten this a little bit with the impact, but I'm going to come back with a torque wrench and make sure our marks all line up like they should. Alright, I got my torque wrench here set to 175 foot-pounds, and I'm just going to turn this until the thing lines up again. Alright, we got our indentions and our paint marks lined up with one another. So we'll just put this drive shaft back on here, get the U-joint all pressed back in there, and that'll do it for this one. Oops, put that back on there. Put our U-joint holders back in. There we go. Alright, now that we got it all put back together, we're going to fill her back up with some gear oil. So you just dump this into this little filler port there until it starts dripping out, and you're good to go. So let's do it. Oh yeah. Well, that's it for that first one. Let's go grab the other one. Number 2. What's that sound like? Alright, it's kind of dribbling out of there. I think I'm going to go grab this third one, make sure it's really pouring out good. And number 3. Alright, there we go. Now you can see it gushing out of there. Let's put this plug in. And we'll tighten her down. Quick spritz with some brake clean. Clean up the mess. And that'll do it. Okay, there you have it. We got our new seal. You can see a little bit of orange poking through there and some fresh fluid in there. I think we're good to go. But as I'm down here looking around, further up the drive line here, you can see that the output seal on the transmission is leaking. I don't have one of those on hand or else I'd change it right now, but here in the future we'll probably be swapping that out. Also back here, this rear wheel cylinder is leaking like a sieve. I do have that on hand, but we don't need brakes, those make you slower. So that does it for the rear pinion seal. Done and dusted. So I haven't officially introduced you guys to my pups here. This here is Dingo. He's currently chasing a fly. He is a 7 or 8-year-old Dutch Shepherd, and he's the most handsome boy. He's very good. And this here is a miniature hippopotamus. Her name is Nellie. She's a big old girl. Sweet as can be, aren't you, Bean? Yeah, she's a good girl. They both love their bellies rubbed. But yeah, these are the pups. The bestest pups in all the land. And I love them very much. Okay, now that we've got the pinion seal all knocked out, we're going to move on to this throttle linkage. So this little deal here replaces this little pin right here. So I got to pull this linkage off, and I think I've got a cotter pin or something to pull out of there, and then I can pop this new one in place of that. So let's do it. All right, got that off of there. That was actually pretty easy. Now it looks like there is a, I don't know, cotter pin or something. Let's see if we can get that out of there. You look down in there, right about there is the back side of that pin. And once I get that loose, we can pop this thing out of there and we'll get the other one in. Oh yeah, it is a cotter pin. Well, that's about tricky. Boy, this is difficult. Oh, maybe I can fling that. There we go. Give me a little better access here. All right, we got the cotter pin out, and there's our pin. All right, here's our new pin here. I don't know if it goes in this top hole or maybe this hole here, but I think what we're wanting to happen is, as we open the throttle, if I put it in the first hole here, the primary and secondary throttle bodies are in the same position, and as I open it up, it kind of delays that second one opening up until you've really wrapped on it. But if I put it in the second hole, kind of has the secondaries cracked open a little bit, and it makes them open a little slower than the primaries. So let me do a little reading. We're gonna find out exactly where I should put this pin. Okay, so after looking online, it shows that the linkage goes into the very top hole. So that's where we're gonna put it. So I got her stuck in there. I'll just put this little washer on the back side here, and then our cotter pin there goes in the hole. Bada bing, bada boom. There we have it. So now you can see that the primaries open before the secondaries do. So it should tame this throttle up a little bit. So now I think there's a little bit I need to do with the wizard on the little Sniper EFI display to set some parameters on the TPS, I think. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so it says that you'll turn the key on, look at the display, and then you'll crack the throttle, and it says that the primary should be open to about 40% before the secondary start to open. Turn this key on, start opening this throttle up, and we'll keep an eye on the display unit here, and we'll see what percentages we get. All right, here's our display. All right, TPS is right here. Let's set this thing here so we can kind of see it. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna start cracking the throttle. All right, we're at 45. Now the secondaries have just opened. So when I turn this about there, when I start meeting resistance, and I'm stopped there, and it shows that we're at 45. Okay, now that we've got our value of 45%, we go back to the display here, and we go to tuning, system, and sniper setup, and then progressive TBI linkage. We need, that currently says disabled. We need to make that say enabled. Save. Okay, now I need to cycle the ignition. Yep, there it is. Progressive TBI linkage enabled. Primary secondary TPS switch. So now I need to set this percentage to 45. Alright, now we get this to 45, and we'll save that as well and cycle the ignition. Alrighty, progressive TBI linkage is enabled, and primary secondary TPS switch is at 45%. We're rocking and rolling. I think we're good to go. That does it for that. That was pretty simple, pretty straightforward and easy. I like it like that. Okay, so we got the pinion seal and the progressive throttle linkage hooked up. Now all we got left to do is to replace these valve cover gaskets. You can see how this is all soaked here and wet on this side here, and this side isn't as bad, but we're gonna go ahead and get those swapped out. Pull these valve covers off of here. I'm still waiting for Mr. Bezos to deliver this new Felpro cork gasket for these valve covers, but that didn't stop me from taking this apart, so we're gonna go ahead and knock that out and get this thing taken apart. So we got this driver's side valve cover off. Everything looks pretty good under the valve cover here. All the push rods look to be in good shape. Nothing's bent or out of whack. But now, after getting this valve cover off here, I can kind of see why this gasket started leaking. So I've been reading on the forums, and everyone says that if you have the factory stamped sheet metal valve covers, that you need to use a cork gasket and reserve these rubber ones only if you have the aluminum one. And this one is certainly a stamped sheet metal, and it's got a rubber gasket on it, and it is falling apart. Yeah, got a little brittle. So that explains our oil leak. So I'm still waiting on this cork one to show up, and once it does, we'll toss that bad boy on here and we'll be rocking and rolling. I'm gonna go ahead and get started taking off this passenger side one now. All right, we've got this passenger side valve cover off here now. Again, everything looks pretty good underneath there. No bent push rods, no broken valve springs, but same deal. We've got a rubber valve cover gasket. Nice little layer of RTV holding it on there. Probably part of the reason why this thing was kind of sealing. So we're gonna put this in the trash. And now we wait for the cork valve cover gasket to show up. But while we're waiting, I'm gonna clean these puppies up, make them look a little bit more presentable. I thought about painting these, but I think just a quick spritz with brake cleaner will do just fine. I kind of like the patina on these, and I like that, you know, it's still got this stuff on here. Hopefully this doesn't come apart when I hit it with brake cleaner. But yeah, they could use a little bath. So let's clean them up. Got this wire wheel here, clean this old gasket material off of this thing. better already. Let's do this other one. Voila. Now I'm gonna brake clean them. Make this little dead patch in the grass from where I brake cleaned last time a little bit bigger. Not perfect, but certainly better. Let's hit this other one. All right, we got our valve covers all cleaned up. They're looking about as good as they're gonna look. Now all we can do is wait for Amazon to deliver these valve cover gaskets. And then we can get this puppy put back together, and then we'll take her for a little drive. Well, as you can see, the sun is beginning to set, and I am still without valve cover gaskets. They're all cleaned up, heads are all cleaned. They're ready to go on, but we're sitting here waiting. We might have to call it for today. I don't know, we'll see. All right, well, it's too dark to do anything now, so I'm gonna shut this down. I'm just gonna toss these valve covers on the heads just to kind of keep it protected overnight, and then I'll be back tomorrow and we'll finish this up. All right, folks, we're back. It's another day. We had to wait till about 9 p.m. for these valve cover gaskets to show up, but they finally did. So we've got some nice Felpro cork gaskets here. These should favor the stamped sheet metal valve covers a little better. So let's get these things tossed on here and we can call this thing done. All right, we got this thing pretty well licked here. All we have left is to hook up the spark plug wires, put the air cleaner and everything back on, start this thing up, and take it for a drive. We can kind of see how this new throttle linkage acts, and we'll pump it through this thing and see if we fix this leak on the valve covers, and hopefully our pinion seal holds up on us, and we'll be rocking and rolling. All right, we've gotten everything all buttoned up here. It's looking good. Had to double check that firing order and make sure I put it all back together right. I think I did it right. Let's get this thing fired up and take it for a drive down the road. All right, let's see how she does. All right, the throttle already feels way better. Night and day different. Yeah, so much better. Don't want to light the tires off every time you tap the throttle. I also found a vacuum line that went to a solenoid on the transmission that I did not have connected. So that explains some of the shifting issues that we were having. She's shifting like butter now, feels great. Let's do another takeoff from a stop here. Man, what a difference. I'm talking night and day. This thing drives so much better now with that progressive linkage on there on that throttle. I'm kind of mind blown right now. I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference, but the drivability of this truck is exponentially better than it was before. I mean, before, you barely tap the throttle and that thing would light the tires off. But now you kind of roll into it nice and easy and it just takes off nice and smooth, man. This truck just keeps getting better and better. Let's take a quick look under the hood and make sure everything's all sealed up and looking good. Looks pretty good. Valve covers look like they're sealed up pretty nice. I don't see any obvious leaks. Yeah, much better. Man, this thing is quiet. Barely even hear it running. It's kind of crazy. Man, I'm telling y'all, this is the coolest truck that I have ever had. It's quiet as a mouse too. It's kind of crazy. Let's get over here by the exhaust. There's nothing. You don't hear nothing. Doesn't get much better than that. We're gonna need to put some tires on this thing here pretty soon. They're a little dry rotted, cracked. It's honestly pretty sketchy that I'm even driving it like it is. What do y'all think? Is this thing the coolest or what? Come on. Sharp as a tack. Not too bad, man. New valve cover gaskets, new progressive throttle linkage, and a new pinion seal.
We're rocking and rolling, baby. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye out for videos coming here in the future. We'll be putting more work into this here truck. So if you have any comments, make sure you leave them below. Tell me if I missed anything or if you got any pointers, or tell me about your truck. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.